Amid the hundreds of documentaries produced each year by BBC, the ones made about certain Chinese issues always manage to bring about debate. These presentations cover diverse topics, from Chinese culture to the economic boom of the past 30 years and its subsequent slowdown to any number of everyday issues. But the Chinese media often lashes out post-presentation, accusing the BBC of spending an undue amount of time on the country's less developed features. So the question must be asked, is BBC undermining China's image through these documentaries? One of the most well-known BBC documentaries to irk the Chinese public is How China Fooled the World, offending some by presenting that China's economic miracle of the past may now be slowing at a drastic pace. The documentary begins by proclaiming that,
weighed down by its vast debts, China's economic miracle may be ending.
The pessimistic forecast infuriating Chinese economists at the time. Most of the criticism reproached the producers of the documentary for depicting only a partial picture of the Chinese economy, with many growing industries ignored and stumbling sectors overemphasized. The latest documentary to come under fire, titled Are Our Kids Tough Enough? Chinese School, is another presentation that has stirred up the hornet's nest that is a slight at Chinese media. By inviting 5 Chinese teachers to teach in a British secondary school, BBC presents Chinese education as an overly rigid system reliant on cram-style delivery and burdened by a lack of communication between teacher and students. These teachers were shown helplessly yelling in vain at the hyperactive British students they were placed in charge of.
You embarrass all Wuhan students at a school!
In response, Chinese media complained that BBC was deliberately embarrassing Chinese teachers. Yet such complaints were baseless as the story ends well. The Chinese teacher students outscoring the classes taught by British teachers in exams, and the students expressing gratitude as the teachers bid their farewells. Taking a closer look at these documentaries, a distinct pattern can be detected. There is a host, seemingly quite enthusiastic about exploring China, traveling around the country and making observations. Documentaries such as The Chinese Are Coming and China on Four Wheels both fit this mode of presentation. It could be argued that this is a smart move as such delivery places power of observation in the hands of the presenter, leading to broad-stroke remarks of a subjective nature. Arriving in the country, the host normally expresses admiration for the rapid growth of the Chinese economy and is in awe at the urban landscape resultant of the tremendous boom. Yet all of a sudden, the intrepid reporter begins to point at the expense of creating such economic success. Then follows the onset of the poignant, often negative descriptions of China. There are also documentaries that focus on the wild flora and fauna of China's isolated regions and the primitive ways of life lived there. In comparison, A Year in Tibet is quite different. Although the backdrop of the film is based around the scenery of the Tibetan region, the more significant coverage deals with the demographics and humanity of the area. Each of the 5 episodes is themed around a seasonal period, and each features the stories of 1 or 2 Tibetans. Then comes the controversial part, a much different elaboration of Tibetan faith compared with what the rest of China believes. Do these documentaries really undermine China as suggested? Maybe. Or maybe the problem is that BBC's coverage provides only a partial perspective. But perhaps China is being too sensitive and overreacting to BBC's reporting on China. The latest criticism comes from the 2015 series Secrets of China, and best demonstrates why the Chinese public remains upset. The documentary, portraying the lifestyles of different social strata in China, attempts to place a finger on the marital values of Chinese young people, saying that many Chinese overemphasize material property when selecting a partner. The series also zooms in on the abnormal daily schedules of online game enthusiasts and makes a sharp contrast between the wealthy and the grassroots. These depictions have drawn indignant remarks, but the series seems to tell of a reality that many Chinese can identify. Despite the outspoken demonstration of China's social status quo, the host of the documentary expresses her candid perspective before the film draws to an end.
China seems as good a place as any to get rich. There are a lot of very, very wealthy people here, and there are a lot of poor people too. And the economy seems not dissimilar to that of a capitalist society in the sense that it can boom and slow just like ours. But one thing everyone that I've met seems to agree on is that life here is a hell of a lot better than it used to be.